to order. I want to remind everyone that we do expect a level of decorum and no comments, cheers or shouts from the audience, which we look like we have a good tame group here. So we won't have to worry about that. At this time, again, we are called to order at 4 o'clock. Ms. Harris, Tawana, would you please do the invocation for us?
Oh, yes, let us pray. Creator of all things, sustainer of all life. God, we just thank you and ask that you would have your way in this place, that peace would abide, and that all decisions would be made for the greatest good. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we have two speakers for public comment. Our first one is Ms. Giddens. Is she here? No. Okay, next on our agenda is Ms. Wilson. And she also passed out a handout that everyone should have. Oh, there she is.
Okay, so good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
all of you. And the first thing I'd like to say is that I do appreciate your service on this board. The purpose of my addressing you today is my deepest concern that this library's mural is still in place 70 days after the Okefenokee Regional Library Board of Trustees approved the revised displays and exhibits policy on August 7th. The Constitution of the Regional Board of Trustees, Article 5, Section 1, states, "The Okefenokee Regional Library Board of Trustees shall be the governing authority for the Okefenokee Regional Library System." Article 2 of this regional board's bylaws states, "The Okefenokee Regional Library System shall have jurisdiction over all matters which impinge on two or more branch libraries. The approved displays and exhibits policy therefore applies to Waycross Ware County Library as well as the other 4 libraries in the region." This policy states in Statement 3, under Policy Interpretation and Implementation, materials serving primarily as political campaign literature are utilizing persuasive and or coercive language or containing symbols which promote religious, political, or sex-based ideology are unacceptable. The still in place mural contains a symbol that promotes a sex-based ideology. The elected officials of our community, the Waycross Board of Commissioners, the Ware County Board of Commissioners, and the Ware County Board of Education have appointed you, board members, to oversee the functioning of the Waycross Ware County Library. The Okefenokee Regional Library Board Constitution and bylaws both support your authority to implement this approved display policy. Please remove the unacceptable according to approved policy mural before the end of another day. Libraries are for everyone. They always have been, and they always will be. I did one more little fact search, because you know, every policy and procedure are only as good as who's responsible for getting them done, for actually taking a policy and implementing it. According to the job description for the director of the regional Okefenokee Library System, under position responsibilities, this statement is made. One of those responsibilities is manages the development and implementation of library goals, objectives, priorities, policies, and procedures, ensures board objectives are integrated into library policies and goals. I thank you for listening, for receiving my concerns.
Thank you. Ms. Giddens, you are now up. And for those that are wondering, Ms. Tanner is timing. 5 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. So, according to the agenda, my topic is meeting room capacity. So, as I look around, I see that here at the Waycross Ware County Library Board meeting, we have a good capacity. Not maxed out, but a very good capacity, and this is for Ware County. So, I do have a concern about the people coming to these meetings and not getting a seat. So today, it seems like everyone has a seat. But when we have the regional meeting, that's 5 counties. And so this room is to capacity, and so is out in the children's area. So, I mean, we're just bursting at the seams. I know that it's convenient for this meeting to be here. Yes, it is, and really, it should be here. But the issue, and especially at regional board meetings, we don't have enough room. So I implore you to look into a solution. The solution I guess I would offer is maybe find another location, maybe at the courthouse, the room where the county commissioners meet, main courtroom if it's available, and there's several other courtrooms if they're available. But I ask you to look into the situation. And so a major concern now I have is that our elected officials are sometimes turned away from these meetings. At the last regional meeting, there were 2 commissioners that were told, the room is maxed out and you can't enter. One commissioner went ahead and he entered. He said, I'm coming into the meeting. And the other commissioner was told, room was maxed out, no seat. He didn't push the point. And, but I don't think that was fair. That was Mr. Leonard Burse. And I think it was very unfair that he, as an elected official of this county, was denied admittance to a library board meeting, because he is one of the people, one of the elected officials that this county entrusted the oversight of this building. I mean, he's one of the people ultimately in charge. So I've just noticed here that there are seats for county commissioners. I think that's wonderful, and thank you for doing that. But especially at a regional meeting, you know, lots of people, and so other counties may have their commissioner, county commissioners, city commissioners, boards of education, lots of elected officials. I guess they haven't in the past, but that's something to consider. So I really feel like that these elected officials really have a right to be here, and they should not be denied a seat at this meeting. So I implore you to consider some options and come up with a solution, and let's find a place large enough for our meetings, particularly when we have the regional board meetings. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to item 4, approval of minutes from previous meeting. You all should have received your board packet last week, and hopefully you had a chance and opportunity to look at the packet, at the minutes. Do you need a minute for a quick review? And are there any objections to the minutes? Without objection, they are approved as submitted.
You want to take a motion for that?
Not necessary.
Okay, no motion.
Moving to item 5, old business, to which we have none. We will move down to item 6, new business. And at this point, Mr. William, my interim regional director, will speak. Board officer elections.
Go ahead and speak. You asked me to speak about the board officer elections. And this is for your FY '24, which this is the first meeting of FY '24, actually August was. And, y'all do it on a calendar year basis, so it's for calendar year '24. And, you do that by nominations, and you have ballots there that you, at each person's seat there. And, 3 officer positions you're voting for would be the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. And, you want to tell the current officers who they are?
Yes, the current officers, I am Chairman Candace Rice. I will term off, so I am not eligible to serve, in any capacity. Our vice chair currently is, Tawana Harris, who will continue to serve, on the board, as well as, Carla Parker, who is our secretary, and she will be serving. I'm the only one that is termed out and rolling off, and I'm not eligible to serve in any capacity after, December 31, 23. So, at this time, everyone at your place should have, 3 ballots. We're gonna start with the office of chairman. And at this time, we will open the floor for nominations for the office of chairman.
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Evelyn Denton in the office of chairman.
Okay, so we have 1 nomination, Evelyn Denton, for the office of chairman.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like, Ms. Tawana Harris, please.
Okay.
As chair.
All right, so we have, Ms. Tawana Harris for the office of chairman, 2 nominees. Okay, are there any more? If not, we will close the floor for nominations. And at this time, if you will please write on your ballot, Evelyn Denton, the nominees are Evelyn Denton and Tawana Harris, who you would like to see serve as your chairman for FY '24. Fold it, and, we'll have, Ms. Tanner come and pick them up. And before we move to the next office, we'll do a quick, count to see who our chairman is. And in the interim, the next office will be vice chairman.
I'd like to make a nomination.
Okay, well, we're gonna wait for the results.
okay.
And while we're waiting, let me point this out too, that, Ms. Etheridge will roll off as well. Ex officios only serve a one-year term. If they are reappointed by their body, for instance, she's the BOE rep, then she can return. So our ex officio officers such as, Timmy Lucas, Henry Strickland, they are ineligible to serve, in an officer capacity. Which, by the way, Henry had a city commission meeting, so that is why he's not here with us today.
We had a tie 4-4.
Okay,
4 and 4. Did you vote? Everybody voted, right?
Yeah, everyone
That's
voted.
what he says, and usually the chair can break a tie, but that's, you voted, so.
all right, Mr. Parliamentarian, here's our, do you have recommendations?
If it was the US Congress, you keep voting until you break a tie somewhere down the line. That's all you can do.
Thought the chair
Keep
wasn't
voting
supposed to
until the
vote.
tie is broken.
That's why he said 2 minutes.
Okay, we might run out of ballots.
Question, I'm sorry, how many ballots are there? Did
8.
everybody vote?
That's 8 people, 2, 4,
We have
6,
8.
8, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So we're split.
all right.
He stated before that the chair isn't supposed to vote
She could vote.
unless there's a tie.
No, she got voted on that she was break a tie.
You can read Robert's rules.
You can read too.
And at the regional board, there were votes. So, yeah, we checked into that, anticipating any, trouble.
You ended the chair not voting?
Excuse me?
What did you do?
Oh, that the chair can vote. Okay, well, the only problem is that ballots, so.
We'll take those same ballots and write it on the back. You wanna do that?
Mark those out.
Yep, I guess
Is that
we
okay?
can do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that.
You don't wanna do that?
We better, because, I hate,
Parliamentarian?
this is one for the books. Pass them down. At least the Dollar General is nearby. We need more paper.
And maybe they write on it just chair or something like that, just.
Yes, and please, if you will, write chair. Yes, ma'am. Four and four. Because this is unprecedented, we're normally begging, officers to stay in their respective positions. I am, Mr. Parliamentarian, would it be acceptable to have a called meeting another date when we can have all board members for officer elections?
That's the opinion of the majority.
I don't know, Mr. Wiggum, in your years of experience, what do you recommend for us? How to handle this
So the
situation?
simplest thing is, like I said, a call meeting, hope you have 10 people there, or whatever, 9 people ideally, but, you could do that, or you could try one more time. It doesn't look like, we don't know who voted what, so is anybody, are you gonna change your vote by any chance? I think we can ask that. We don't know any names. nobody's volunteering, so that says it'd be the same. Would you agree with that?
Right, I probably folks are going to vote how they're going to vote
I agree. So you may put that aside and have a call meeting about it.
for officer elections. And if we do one office, then I think that we need to suspend for the other two,
I agree.
for the other two, offices. So at this time, we will have to suspend elections, have a call meeting, or at a later date.
I mean, you do have a while because you're meeting until January, so anytime between now and January, you could even, you're not going off until,
I'm not going off until, December 31.
so in theory, you're the chair, I think, until the 31st. Sometimes they say it a different way, but yes.
Okay.
So, I'll help you work that out. You work that out, a call meeting sooner or later, whenever. Does that work for all of you?
Do we need to have a motion that this is what we're doing? What is the correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I like to have motions. It
Okay.
doesn't hurt to have motions, and you know, if you didn't need one, you had one anyway, that's sort of affirms, it's an affirmation, how about that?
exactly. All right. We will entertain a motion to suspend officer elections until a later date, at which time we will have a called meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Who's first, Ms.
Okay, a second. Danette Calais.
Okay, thank you.
Is she making the motion?
You're making the motion.
I'm making the motion. We have a call
Mr.
meeting.
Lucas, thank you.
And Timmy Lucas is making the second. All those in favor of suspending officer elections until a later date, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will have a, officer election at a later date, called meeting. So we'll put aside the other ballots, and at this time, we will move on down to, section 5B, Freedom Shrine consideration. And Mr. Wickham, if you will, please speak to the Freedom Shrine.
You just got it today, my library director's report that had the explanation with Mr. Bartlett and you and Ms. Parker, all right? Came to the library, you already looked at it earlier about the, Freedom Shrine, which is a collection of, documents, people, historical documents, that at one time was in the hallway, as you enter the door, and then they were looking, and they had gotten in bad repair, is that right, Mr. Bartlett?
You could, ask Ms.
Tanner, Mrs. Tanner.
Tanner.
Oh, well, okay.
Senior moment.
They were loose and stuff on that.
They were.
I don't mean to belabor that, but yeah. And so they had been taken down, and, I think people understood why they were taken down, because they were loose and everything. So we were trying to find a different, possibly better space to put them inside the library, which I agree with that. This is before I got here, by the way. And, so they had looked at, I think the three of you, is that correct? You had looked at the children's section where they have some computers that don't get on the internet, they have software inside them there for very young people, like up to 10 years old, and that about the limit. So you sometimes have very young people there. Because of necessity, because you had a 30-foot span, you needed a linear span of room to do it. That was the only place they could find where they had that. However, while you were here, we did, hated to lose that section of the library for a very noble thing, but still you'd lose that section where you have children using that. And that'd be grown up standing behind them, looking over them, and, that can do various things. So, as we were gonna go walking back to look at the other section you had originally looked at, where they had painted the wall and whatever, we noticed, I don't know who did, but one of us noticed about where the new books are, and I'll word this very carefully. As you come in the library, you come down that hallway and you turn right, and you come into the library. And that new book section, you can notice when you leave today, is, as you come in this main door, is to your right. There's a large group of shelves for putting the new books so people can find them, and then they take them, they change them out periodically. So we looked at that, and it wasn't 30 feet, but he had, Mr. Bartlett had a photograph from the high school, am I correct? Where they did it, they doubled it up. They had 2 rows going across. The rows always get columns, you have 2 rows, they're framed within frames. Is that right, a giant frame for each one? Anyway, so we decided maybe it'd fit there, the new books thing. And I suggest that and agree with that, to to put them in that spot, because I talked with Miss Tanner afterwards, and told her as soon as, cause she's the library, branch manager here, and she's really in charge of a lot of that kind of thing, as far as using the space in the library, and to all a good end. So what we did, she said that was okay, because you can move it over sort of, not catty-corner, but over to the other wall that's facing, which is also right by the door where people come in, and put the new books there, and that was acceptable to you, your people, right? So, we agreed on doing that, that's what we're asking today. I don't know if you want a motion or not, but that's what you were talking about doing, is putting it there. I agree with that. I think that's the right place to put it, because the other place would have some various difficulties.
Okay, are there any questions?
I will ask, I'm sorry, because my understanding was the county will come in and install all of this. I know this is your whole, the Exchange Club, am I correct?
The Exchange Club.
Do you need to say anything? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Exchange Clubs will mount them.
Okay.
The county would have to do that.
Okay.
The wall may need to be painted.
That wall, you might wanna consider painting, because those shelves are not, pretty much not attached to that wall, if I'm not mistaken. But it's still, when you take it out, there's gonna be some, so you can work with us on that, right? And we would work with you directly, we would work with you directly, is that correct? Thank you, okay, that works for me if it works for y'all.
Okay,
If I'm still here, somebody else might be here by the time we put it up, but, so, we'll see.
we will entertain a motion, for the, Freedom Shrine to be placed in the new book section.
I move that the Freedom Shrine be placed on the wall to the right of the main entrance into the library proper, and that the Exchange Club accepts responsibility for painting, or will assist in that, painting the wall and assembling the Freedom Shrine plaques.
Second it?
Ms. Karen Guthridge, seconds.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. So we have done something, productive at this meeting. Wonderful. Okay, section C, Mr. Wiggum, would you please speak to this?
I don't have a whole lot there, although you do have money that you got from the state that's gonna pay for things like, I think possibly a new air conditioner, and I'm gonna get to the air conditioner in a minute, HVAC, and some other repairs that repairs and renovations you're gonna do with this library. That's sort of down the road, you don't have to spend that right away. You have 2 years, I believe, a year and a half. So it's something that'll be a project, multiple projects probably. However, your HVAC, like everybody's acted up this summer and probably has before, am I correct? And the heat wasn't doing too good a while ago, it's warm in here now, I noticed, but I will want to say a good thing about the county. Your people come around here and they take care of that, and in the worst of times, when you can't get air conditioned people, they were here, because they're the air conditioning people for us. We appreciate that, so, and down the road, you may end up getting a whole new thing, but I think they put a boiler, and I don't want to bore everybody with all this stuff, but they put a boiler, some kind of, is that right?
Mhm.
And that's a big part of this air conditioning system, so you do have funding, and you can look at that again, and some other things, probably some cosmetic things and whatever else. Probably you had, I think one time I heard the parking lot. I'm kind of peculiar, I prefer taking care of your building before the parking lot. I mean, the parking lot has its day, but I think you may have enough money to do all that stuff you may need to do. So that's a very general description of that, but I wanted to bring that up about the air conditioning that work with us.
Okay, thank you.
If I may say one last thing, you do wanna keep an eye on it, cause if my memory's correct, it's June of 26, that money has to be spent. That's a long time away, but it'll get by us real quick.
Before we
So
know it.
it's money that came from the state, and I think you pay, it's something called 90-10 funds, where the county paid 10% of it when it's spent, and, the state paid the other 90%. So it's good funding to get.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Wickham regarding building repair and maintenance update?
No, just as a point of clarity, Mr. Williams, I believe that money goes directly to the county, right, for this purpose? That was my understanding.
Actually, they don't like send it to the bank and you draw on it, you spend money and you get reimbursed, or they help you with that.
Correct, but the county, that goes to the county, correct?
It does.
Yes.
It does, okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I just wanted that point of clarity, because I know that prior, there was some discussion about prioritizing projects. And, I know that the request of the library and, let's just say the county and the library had to do some compromising on the priorities
Oh,
that
yeah.
you have, so I just wanna make sure you understand that,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're prepared for that.
In other words,
discussion.
the library wouldn't do anything without working directly with the county
Yeah.
way ahead of time. So I understand that, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Because sometimes it works better for the county to do this, one part of it earlier than the other, I understand that. Yeah, yes, ma'am. I don't think they send it to you in a big lump sum, but I could be wrong, but that's secondary.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
At least, hey, you got it somewhere in the bank that you're gonna get it to use it. It's
Okay.
approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Wickham?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll move down to,
Sorry. Well, really, I prepared this agenda based on your previous agendas, and then with new
Yep.
items though. And it's, they had always had on your agendas things for the regional meetings, I guess, for you to suggest. And, of course, a very important part of this is the regional, which I was gonna bring up anyway. The regional library, candidates that you're gonna interview. We're trying to get that set up now, so there is a search. Ms. Harris, you want me to go ahead and, cause it's a regional thing, you want me to go ahead and explain how that's set up,
The,
the search committee?
and it looks
We are
like
in
she
the
is
pro-
the regional chair, Ms. Harris is our regional chair.
an email was sent out to appointees to the committee that will interview the candidates. And we still have 2 slots to fill, as we want representation from every county in the regional system. So hopefully we will have that worked out this week. And, once we have that worked out, then we can go ahead and schedule the dates for the 2 candidates that we have to be interviewed. And then from that process, we will have a meeting, it'll probably end up being a call meeting at this point because of timing, to actually review those candidates and vote, hear recommendation of the committee.
Did I hear you say we only have 2 candidates?
We only have 2 candidates.
Okay.
2 candidates to interview.
Right.
There's a time frame because you have to, know who those 2 candidates are. And then 14 days later, that's when you present them to the regional board to be approved. But, so you have to follow that time frame, and that time frame's getting close. And that's Ms. Giddens and, Ms. Harris and, I used to know somebody named Tawana Giddens over in first grade with me, anyway. Sorry. When they set up the committee, it was a good idea, and it was Mr. Dial and Tawana thinking of this. It was good to have all 5 counties represented on a 5-person committee, and then, of course, the regional chair is the ex officio on that. And so 3 of you, you're one of them.
Yeah, that was my idea,
You're one of them,
I
and,
wanted representation,
there you
and
go.
ideally the chairman from each one.
Yes,
But-
Mr. Dial, yeah, that's true too. And Mr. Dial's on there, and, one other one, I'm so sorry, but 2 of them are unable so far. And
Okay.
if they're unable, we're asking them, will they appoint somebody from their board? So
Okay, so
we're waiting to hear from
fantastic.
them, and, then we'll proceed on that. But it's important to get that rolling.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
then, the other thing, are policy updates, information, you had a lot of work done on your constitution bylaws, they approved the constitution, and they tentatively approved, is that right, Ms. Denton, where you're still working on the bylaws to clarification, so you should have that. I should tell you what you should do, but you're gonna have that at the regional.
Yes.
And then, did approve the display policies with that previous meeting, so. I'm sure you'll have more. I think you're gonna work on the financial policy? Okay.
Okay, so then are we ready to move down to item 7, financials report?
I think so.
And Mr. Wickham, I'll let you speak to that as well.
Okay, this is provided by the finance person, Ms. Keen, I'm sure y'all all know Lynn Keenan, and, she's not here today, she'll be here at the regional meeting, she told me. But actually, you're in good shape, it has 3 pages to it, she has a summary sheet at the front, and, talks about your total revenues and total expenditures for the period, and other information there. If you want to study this one is printed in color. The middle column is your actual approved FY '24 budget, and then to the left, it's your approved budget in the middle column is blue, and to the left is actual revenues and expenditures. And, you came out with a small, comparatively small deficit for this three-month period, July first through September 30th, which is normal the first quarter of the year because you have a lot of things you pay annually and that you pay that and it catches back up as you go along. That is a true statement how that works. Nothing's guaranteed in a budget. A budget's always dynamic, it can do anything, but this is a well-written budget and well-considered budget, so you get that, and then you have, the third sheet is a balance sheet, that you're in good shape there as well, so that's what you got in the bank, the balance sheet. If you had assets, those should be there too. So that's the finance policy. Now, be glad to answer any questions about that, and if I don't know the answers, I'll certainly get them from Ms. Keenan and send them to you by email. And I'm being, not being smart aleck, but I mean, so usually in other places I've been, you approve the budget as presented.
Okay.
And but what do you think? All right?
Yeah,
Okay,
if
good.
there's no objections.
Yes, are there any do any trustees have questions for Mr. Wiggum regarding the finances? If not, we'll entertain a motion to accept the finances as presented.
Also move.
All right, Ms. Harris, Tawana Harris, makes the motion, and we'll have a second.
I'll second.
Evelyn Denton seconds the motion.
Sorry.
All those in favor of accepting the financial report as presented, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The financial report is accepted. Okay,
Thank you.
item 8, directors' reports. So at this time, we'll hear from our branch manager.
So you have our, quarterly branch managers report in your packet. We continue to, do a lot of recurring programs. We find that that works well for us. We have had several special events, but one thing that, cause I know y'all don't wanna hear this every time, so I'll just try to pick something good. So one thing that I'm super excited about is we have had our uptick in school field trips. So we've done a lot with the self-contained special needs classes, and, we've also had a lot, of partnership with Unison. So we're doing a lot with Unison as well. They've become one of our community partners. That is movie days for adults and special Lego clubs and that type of thing for the Unison Clubhouse. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Trustees, any questions for Ms. Tanner? Thank you. All right, library director's report, Mr.
Well,
Wilson.
a lot of this we covered in these agenda items, so I have a couple of extra things. And, one of them is that, speaking of finance report, the auditors come on October the 30th, I think, not quite 31st, but the 29th to 30th. And they work on site, so they do the audit for the previous fiscal year. And, so that's upcoming, we'll have reports on that at the, possibly the regional meeting, but that'll be real close. But you definitely in January, you get their report. And, we can send that out to you before the meeting in January. The other thing is, when I first got here, there's something called the annual report that you have to do every year for the state library. It's because you get a lot of funding. If you ever look at that budget, you'll see the funding you get through GPLS from the state. And so you have to fill out that report, and it's a whole lot of statistics and finance things, all kind of things. And, it's to qualify for those funds. That's in the title of it. And so I've done a bunch of them before, but it's gathering the materials for them. It's not doing the report, it's data entry. But fortunately, I had help from people like Sherry and a lot of other people here to get that material together, and we did get that sent in. So that was a big deal to do that. So we got that done. That's a reporting thing to you. And, I'll make sure it was approved and everything, it was. And, so that's done. And the things I'll go down the list here, I've got, the officer selection, we'll do that call meeting, the Freedom Shrine consideration, which is a lot more, for your board members, there's more about what we talked about, but that's written in here. And the Constitution, bylaws, policy updates, the display policy update, and other things. Well, buildings and maintenance. And I'll be glad to answer any questions about those or anything else you may have. And I appreciate very much being able to work here with y'all and met some of you personally and more of you today, and thank you very much. feel free to contact me if you need anything.
Okay, so moving down to the, adult services report.
So I'll make like I'm Kathleen.
Yes.
She's the adult services, she does a lot of programming, she does real interesting stuff and does a lot of outreach. And, she's also in charge of the other things like interlibrary loan services, which is kind of an esoteric thing that librarians do. It's a little bit different than Pines, is when you want a book that's in Montana or somewhere and get it sent here. And a lot of people who are doing, academic stuff and research, they utilize that. She works with the adult collection development, which is an important thing in the library because you wanna see what you don't wanna just buy 20 books and stick them on the shelf. You want them to be fitting into the right kind of information type places and the needs of people that need various types of books and resources, would you agree? And so sometimes you need people, the director does too, oversee that, but you need to pay attention to that. And, that's a very important thing, she works with that. And she's got a list from November through May, and I won't read them all to you, but all of her different programs she's gonna offer, and she's very creative with that. Yes, sir. Sometimes look around and talk to her about this stuff, and she does a good job.
Okay,
Systems.
and-
Well, the best thing about this report is that, GPLS does, dispenses funds that come from the state legislature. They vote on it every year. That means they might not vote on it next year, but they have for about 10+ years done this. It's called Live Tech, LIV Tech Funds, Technology Funds, Live Tech Funds. And it's based, the amount, they vote for a certain amount, the legislature does. And, then that amount is dispensed to the public libraries, and it's specifically for public libraries, and it's specifically for so-called public-facing technology, like computers for the public and printers and things like that. And, it saves your library a lot of money, because you don't have to spend your money on that, you can spend it on other things, so it's a good thing. And, they got, this year, you got $71,000 in change. I should read the exact figure, $71,496.11. And that's Daniel, he'll work on that, he'll work with the library director, I'll work with him while I'm here, I'm glad to do that. And, he already has things he'll purchase, and, it's meant to keep your technology in all areas as best you can, to keep that updated, because that moves fast. And it's well used by people here, Wi-Fi, connectivity, actual computers and so forth, so he'll be working on that. The money, I think, is there now, it just started getting that, but there is a requirement, the, GPLS decides this, and they always come up with good things, but they don't say you can only buy this one thing, they give you a menu of things to buy, so maybe this year you can buy one type of technology, next year another, it varies, but, that's a large amount of money for a library this size.
That's good.
Okay, thank you, that
Very.
is, that's why I keep saying, I want to know, that's good stuff. And, he does, Daniel does very good work, I'm sure you all know him, and, recent projects, he's done VR computers, virtual reality computers, he's done, additional security camera footage at one of the branches, he's asking for that, he'll install that. And, the network closet cleanup at each branch, if you ever slipped into the closet where they got the wiring for the connectivity coming in there, you never know what you're gonna see. In some place, other place, you go in there, it's like going to, I don't know, a hospital room or something, it's been cleaned like it's supposed to, so he does a very good job with that. And, he's also doing something, he says it's a pilot thing, which, good luck to him on that. He's getting iPads set up for board members, which I'm on a bank board that does that, where everybody has one at first line. They had laptops, they're not iPads, but that way they can follow along without having to have printed matter there, so.
I think we did that here at one meeting, didn't we have?
Well,
the
maybe
iPads? We
he's
did.
working on it, that's where he piloted it, probably.
Yeah,
See,
that-
okay, and that's a good thing if you decide to do that. But, that's pretty much, he does, both of those people who I did the reports for them, their reports have a lot of good information in them. You can get that from me if you want to, or you can meet them and they can tell you all about it. And I do know they're good employees, just like Ms. Tanner is, and doing a good job. You have a very good staff here. I've met everybody except, 2 counties, which I'll meet one of them tomorrow and one of them next Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to that.
I have a question for you. Karen Hinkla, she resigned. Do we have, what's the process that to replace her in?
Ms. Hankler? Well, my understanding was, I'm trying to think who told me this, was they wanted to wait until that it was a courtesy to wait until the new director got here, so
Oh,
that they
okay.
could.
So that's on hold until we have
That was
a
my
correction in
understanding,
place.
which
Okay.
I'm.
That's
I don't
fine,
know.
I just, normally she has a report, and so that's why I was
Oh, yeah,
wondering.
that's right. Well, she was basically a children's librarian and young adult librarian.
Correct.
And she didn't have one because she left
Okay,
mid-August, or towards the end of August, and she wasn't here much then, so.
right, okay. So for anyone, we now know that we'll wait until we have a director in place and then hire during
I
replacement.
will say that come January, you get some kind of report for her department, because some of Sherry works with some of her stuff, like young adult and so forth, so.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Witham? If not, we will, we're down to adjournment. I'll entertain a, motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, before adjournment is given, I'd just like to take a moment to comment, to commend the Waycross Ware County Library staff on a job well done. You exceeded your numbers beyond expectations for your summer reading program. You continue to provide, great programming for the school year, so you've seen an increase in participation. And we just want you to know that we appreciate the job that you all do. Thank you.
True.
Thank you.
At all
Thank you,
five
Mr.
counties.
Whitney.
Yeah, all 5 counties.
Very good.
And I'll move that the meeting be adjourned.
Okay, and we will gladly entertain a second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Lucas.
Okay, yes, Mr. Lucas was the second, Jimmy Lucas. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
At 4:47.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.